So this is going to be the PE24 FL, which is flange. FL stands for the flange. Like I said, same kind of choke design, like a motocross style. It's going to be in the front left of the bike when you're sitting on it. This big wheel here is for the idle speed. So all that does is strictly raise the slide up and down to increase the engine RPM at idle. That's all it does. You never want to crank that in 10 turns because it's just going to idle at half throttle. Alrighty guys, today's video is going to be all about these Nibbi carburetor parts. Nibbi Racing was kind enough to send us some products to do some testing mainly to try out on our pit bikes. As you guys know, we got the SSR, the Apollo pit bikes here, 125s, 110s, even a 70. So they sent us 3 different carburetors and some accessories and some jets and stuff so we can do some tuning, some throttle assemblies. So we'll try that out as well. But I wanted to show just kind of the stuff we got and then a little bit about the carburetors themselves. I've seen a few videos online, but they weren't very truthful in terms of how the carburetors work. So I wanted to do a little bit better job of explaining that. And then we'll just kind of open one of the boxes up and just show you. Next couple of videos are going to be us actually throwing the carburetors on the bikes, doing tuning. So we're not going to open up the flow poles in this video, but we will when we actually tune them. So I'm going to have Sparky's next to me. He's going to take some of these boxes apart, show you kind of what's in there, just about some of their products they got. Nibbi Racing is some of the higher end stuff for the pit bikes. A little bit better quality than the stuff you see on eBay, just the super generic stuff that has no brand. At least this is a branded company. And like I said, I'll have links to everything that you see here in the description so you guys can get that for yourself if you like it. And like I said, we're going to do some testing against stock carburetors possibly, and also the knockoff carbs you see on eBay. So yeah, what do y'all got over there, buddy?
Oh, a bunch of grips, got the throttle blocks.
Yep, the nice
colored cables.
Yeah, we'll try their cables out.
We got three twist grips.
Yep.
A couple sets of
Grips.
Gripperoos.
And I think in here is jets, which is super nice, guys. With the Nibbi stuff, each carburetor does come with a few main jets and on a pilot jet, but we also got like an actual extra set of all the main jets they pretty much offer. You can see that this is the pilot jet set that actually comes in a case set in foam, which, I mean, if you guys ever have jets laying around, it's such a pain to find a good box to put them in. We use tackle boxes usually, but this is super nice. It's in its own carrying case. Because I assume we're going to need some different pilots to get these carbs jetted properly to get rid of that bog. That's kind of why I wanted to experiment with these carburetors, because they're some of the best quality you can get out there for the pit bikes. So it should be good performance-wise for us. So I think this one, I'm trying to think here, what kind of carb this is. These are all going to be the 24 millimeter carburetors, guys. I believe this one here is the PWK, the flat slide. So that's going to be an interesting one for a pit bike. We're definitely interested in trying this out. What you get in the box is, like I said, a couple main jets and an extra pilot jet, which is super nice. Some tunability right out of the box. You do get some stickers in the bottom. Super nice box. Has foam inside of it, so you know it's not going to get jostled around. The nice thing about the PWK is it actually has a power jet on the carburetor itself, which is what this hose is. It's going to an adjustable mixture screw right here. And the power jet's designed to give you a little added fuel burst, maybe in that mid to wide open throttle range. So that's super nice. All the carburetors that you're going to see are going to have like that motocross style pull choke, which is super handy. The old-fashioned pit bike ones usually have like a rocker knob on them to choke them, so a little different that way. We'll see how it is to reach when it's on the bike. I don't know how that's going to be, if it's going to be tucked up underneath the gas tank or if it'll be out in the open, but it just has a position where it locks in and you just turn it off. So I'm going to go on one of the other carburetors and I'll show you kind of the mixture screws and what's different about one of these compared to like the stock carbs and the Chinese ones you see on eBay. So
they also harass with some really heavy duty ratchet straps. Very heavy, very heavy.
Oh yeah.
But they look, gears in them look really good. They're all protected.
Nice clicker too.
Yeah.
Super loud clicker.
Yeah, The hooks on them actually got little clips on them, so we'll give those a shot on our way to the track.
Yeah, definitely. Even got a carrying case in
you gotta
there.
give it a little pouch, so you stick it behind the seat or whatever.
Yeah, it keeps it from you know, being a ball mess like most of our ratchet straps are. So
Yeah.
that's kind of nice. Yeah, I'll quick open up one of the other carbs. I'll show you guys the intake adapters that you'll need too when you're buying one of these carburetors. They do make a normal flange style, which is I think in the other box there if you want to grab that out. Grab that one out. So if you guys are familiar with pit bikes, basically what they usually come with is a flange mounted surface with an O-ring. So this carburetor particularly, you wouldn't need the adapter that I'll show you guys, which I think is in that one. And that basically will adapt a flange to a round mounting surface. So, and that's what Mark's got in his hand right there. It's aluminum, which is nice, not plastic. Comes with the gaskets. And a nice.
I mean, the hose is awesome, pliable, comes with clamps.
So that's super good. That's what you'll need, guys, in order to put one of these carbs with the round spigot on your pit bike. You'll need an adapter like that. I've seen some videos online where they cut the aluminum intake, the flange off. You probably could do that, but honestly, if they make the part, you might as well use the right component. It's just going to make it that much easier. Then you don't have to worry about jagged edges and just playing. So the length of the intake actually makes a difference of how the engine's going to run. So by cutting that flange off, you're losing 3/8 of an inch, I bet, at least. So it may or may not do anything, but at least this way we're going to adapt it so it's the same length as it probably was with one of these.
That and everything matches well.
Exactly. So this is going to be the PE24 FL, which is flange. FL stands for the flange. Like I said, same kind of choke design, like a motocross style. It's going to be in the front left of the bike when you're sitting on it. One thing I noticed about the Nibbis is it seems like the throttle slide's way larger in diameter, which probably is going to be a lot better for putting the little cable and spring on because it probably isn't going to be so tiny. The smaller the slides and the springs, it's way harder to get on. So I'm actually looking forward to seeing how well these go on. And like I said, we'll have these all installed in a later video. So looking around the carb, it's got that super nice, I don't know, I guess it's like an off gray metallic black.
Almost like a flat black.
Yeah. And it's got a good texture to it. It's not like a shiny smooth. It's almost like a
rough kind of.
Yeah. I don't know if they dip them in something or if it's just
like bacon.
Yeah, like almost like a powder coat kind of deal.
Yeah, kind of.
Super nice. I think this is anodized red. Also, going around this is going to be on the right side of the bike when it's on. I also saw videos of people that were not talking about the screws correctly, the adjustment screws. This big wheel here is for the idle speed. So all that does is strictly raise the slide up and down to increase the engine RPM at idle. That's all it does. You never want to crank that in 10 turns because it's just going to idle at half throttle. It's not going to do you any good. And depending on how rich the low end is, you may have to crank it up a little bit to give it enough air to get past to make it idle. But you're never going to want to crank this all the way in. That's the number one rule I would never do. It's just a safety hazard. You're just going to end up having it idle too high, and it's just too dangerous. So that's what this screw is. And what's really nice about that is it's by hand. You don't need a tool. All the other ones, even the stock carbs, the Chinese knockoffs, you need a flat blade screwdriver. So with this, you just take your hand, adjust it, and you're done. Right below it is actually the air fuel screw for the low speed. And now this is going to be an air screw. It's on the air cleaner side. Way better than the stock carbs that have that fuel screw directly on the bottom. And the nice thing about this is the further you go in, the richer it's going to be. The further you go out, the leaner it's going to be. And like I said, way more accessible. You will need a screwdriver, obviously, but I've had the specialty 90-degree screwdrivers. I can't reach them when it's on the bike. It just, the cylinder head's too close to the bowl. So with that, like I said, air screw, closing it in richer, opening it up leaner, strictly on the pilot circuit. This really has no effect other than idle to about a throttle. After that, this is irrelevant. It's just, you tune that to kind of get rid of that bog and making it idle nice and smooth. So that's what you'd use that adjustment screw for. And like I said, right next to that is the idle speed that does nothing else besides raise the slide. There's also one more tunability option. That's going to be the needle clip inside of the slide. And we'll definitely be messing with that when we actually tune the carbs. And that's going to be, you know, in the slide itself, there's 5 different positions. And I think Nibbi is actually really good about, there's actually a book inside the bottom of the box. So it actually will show you. There's also some decals in there, guys, they'll send you every time you buy a carburetor. And then, like I said, extra jets. So here's a little instruction book they send with. Tells you about accessories for it and stuff. But then it'll actually show you what stock setup is for all the different sizes of carburetors, what jet, what air screw setting, different pilot jets you can get, all the dimensions of the carb. And then it even shows you, if you are not sure of how all the mixture screws work, it shows you exactly what I just told you about the air screw, the throttle screw, what jets do what. And then it also shows you the needle clip and the positions 1 through 5. 5 being the lowest clip, richest setting, 1 being lean, so it's going to sit down further. So also shows you the different throttle openings and how everything responds. So a nice little addition they throw in there for somebody that's, you know, beginning, might be helpful. There's even some tuning and troubleshooting steps in here, which is nice. Lots of reading to do. Even shows you what to look for in the plug when you're doing plug readings, which we'll try to do that, you know, when we do a wide open run or something.
And they give you QR scanners too for each one. Each one.
Oh, perfect.
So you can just QR it and it'll pop right up on your phone.
That's kind of handy, yeah. And we're going to have Amazon links to most of their products. They do sell a lot on Amazon. We'll also have the link to their actual website. You guys can go check that out too with Nibbi Racing directly. But mainly they do sell on Amazon, I think. eBay, I think they do sell on there too, but primarily Amazon. Mark also made a comment on the machining of the carburetors. Looks a lot more professional.
Yeah.
You can tell, like, it doesn't have that dull looking material. You know, it looks like it actually was like put on a machining surface and actually cut and leveled and everything like that. Whereas I've seen some of them, some of the Chinese knockoffs, the cheaper ones, you know, the $20, $30 carbs, just the quality you can tell isn't quite the same.
Yeah.
Even on this side, you know, this, you can tell this surface has been either CNC milled off or something similar.
That and a flat slide, I mean, it is.
Right, they put a nice
very smooth machining.
Still has the air bleeds like a typical carburetor would. I think this air bleed right here is for the choke circuit. You can see it kind of lines up with the choke, so that would be for that. And then it looks like this one here goes near the air screw, so that would be for the pilot jet area. The center one here is going to go right directly to that main tube, and that's going to be the main jet air bleed. So if you ever have to mess with one of these and you want to clean them out, that's where you're going to want to make sure that's all clean, and you don't want to have anything blocking those ports. Never put any, you know, RTV or any dirt. You don't want to get stuck in there. That's kind of critical. So they do make extra tubes or main nozzles, they might call it, for these carburetors. I don't know if they're different sizes or if they're just replacements, but they do make tubes for them. And I'll show you guys that when we have the carburetors apart. One more thing to add on the bowls, they actually use Allen head hardware. If you guys have ever messed with a lot of carburetors and they have Phillips screws, what happens?
Oh yeah, somebody over tightens them and then they become round.
Yep.
And the screwdriver doesn't fit.
Exactly.
And there's only 2, so you don't have to.
Which is perfect. I mean, we'll see how that holds up on the clamping force. I assume there's a nice O-ring on the bowl, but 2 screws. I would assume they're about 3 or 4 millimeter. Look like maybe 3 millimeter Allens. That's small. Actually,
2 or 3.
Yeah. And there's also an overflow or bowl drain flathead, pretty typical on that. So that's pretty much it for the overall, the carburetor itself. Right here on this vacuum cap would be the fuel inlet where you hook your fuel line onto. Obviously, this is where your air cleaner is going to go. And I think Mark just found this air filter too.
Yeah, I remember we got that. Nice too, because it's got a bend on it. So say it's something in the way, you can turn it different ways. And
Perfect.
Like pretty decent quality.
It looks similar to a K&N to me.
Yeah,
you know,
like a $5, you know.
And it actually
might fall apart.
Actually has their branding,
Stamping on it.
So that's super nice. We're definitely going to be putting that on one of these. Oh yeah, that's gonna fit perfect. And like I said, you can angle it wherever so it fits. Because I know on some of them the frame's like right in this area here, so you might have to bend it. But yeah, we'll be trying this particular one because it's an easy bolt on. We don't have to put any. We'll still use that rubber or a plastic spacer block because it has an O-ring on the back side, and we'll tighten it up. We may also try to put it directly to the manifold. Some said the plastic is there to insulate the heat and keep the heat from getting into the carburetor from the intake, but you see all the time carburetors that are mounted directly to it anyways, so we might try it and see if that 3/16 of an inch spacer makes any difference in the response. And we'll try to do some testing on that. But this here little hose here is, I think, just a bowl vent or like a atmospheric vent. You're probably never going to want to plug this, and you want to be careful you don't get any mud or dirt stuck in it.
Or a mud dauber.
Exactly.
When it's sitting.
Bees or those mud wasps will pack stuff in there if you keep it in the outside area. So that's basically an atmospheric vent. So if that's clogged, it's most likely going to flood itself out and dump gas out of the main nozzle, or it's going to run like the choke's left on, would be my guess. So that's what that little hose in it, and it's pointing down, so obviously less chance of something getting in there. But yeah, slide actually feels super nice. It's not cross-threaded from the factory like some of them I've seen where the cap, you turn it and it gets tight and it's a bad day. So very impressed with the quality. And like I said, they were super kind to let us try out these products for them and test them. I'm mainly curious in the testing, depending on how they react to the pit bikes they're on. They're obviously just 125, so we'll see how snappy we can get them. And I'm hoping they're better than the crappy carburetors we've had in the past. So I assume we're going to have great luck with them, just to see, the quality is so much nicer. That's pretty much it. We did get 2 of those manifolds, which we do because we have 2 different styles of the round spigot carburetors, and obviously we don't need one for this. So we have enough for 3 bikes. Got a couple of the throttle tubes. We'll try those out. And their grips, these are lock-on grips. We're going to try these out. Nice orange color there. That is going to be it for this kind of unboxing overview of the carburetors and parts we got. Just first initial glances at stuff, I kind of like the quality of it. I do like, the big thing for me is the toolless idle speed and the air screw. I mean, it was just such a pain to adjust that fuel screw on those stock carbs. You have to take the carburetor off every single time. Like say you want to move it an 1/8 turn, got to pull the carb. 5 minutes there, 5 minutes. It would take you, I bet you, double the time to tune a stock carburetor versus one of these, just because you have that adjustability right there on the side. We'll be playing with them on different bikes and giving them a test versus stock carbs. And we're going to try to do our best with, not changing a bunch of stuff at once. We're going to try one thing and then another and do some experiments that way. Then for you guys, when you want to go and buy a different carburetor for your bike, you're going to know exactly what you need, how well they perform, what you're going to need to do right out of the box, if you're going to need to change jets right away, and stuff like that. So
At least give you a base layer.
what do you think, Spark? Final thoughts?
Oh, I think it's awesome. It's awesome. Good products, super well built.
Yeah.
I think it'll be a good time. A lot better than some of the other carbs.
Yeah. And like I said, I want to make sure we get a video, in depth with 100% factual information. Not, like I said, I saw some videos out there that I wasn't pleased with that had a lot of views, and there was a lot of false information that people were getting exposed to. So if you're going to pay $100 for a carburetor, I want to be able to show you the proper way to tune it and what everything does on it, and then what you're going to need to bolt it on and how to do it. So if we run into issues, we're going to show you what we had to do if we need to modify something, and just stuff like that. So that concludes the video. We'll have links to all this stuff in the description. The coming videos are going to be, installs, testing, tuning. So it's going to be a lot of good information, and it should be able to teach us something hopefully, and then teach you guys a few things along the way.